everybody, I'm Dan Schinder. Welcome to Drum Talk TV. This is an interesting episode. We're talking about music education, and we're talking about music education with Anthony Citrinite, who is the director now of the Collective in New York City. And Anthony actually started as a student in 1994. Now he's the director of the Collective. I heard he's after my job. He's trying to bump Neil Peart off of his throne with Rush. So stay out of this guy's way. You never know what's coming with Anthony. Welcome to the show, Anthony. How are you?
Thanks. I'm doing great. Thank you for that great intro.
Oh, you're very welcome. Hey, I just want to mention to yourself and everybody that music education is really important to everybody here at Drum Talk TV. Over the many, many years, even since recently, shortly after I was out of the public school program way back in 1981, a lot of schools, public schools, have gotten rid of their music programs. We hear about funding issues all the time on the news, in the paper, and it's really cool that something like since 1977, the Collective has not only established itself as a premier place for music education, but has branched out. You got the Drummers Collective, all the different branches. And what we're going to talk about today, everybody, with Anthony, is the history of the Collective, what's going on currently and what their mission is, and what the direction is of the Collective, and also how you can help and how you can get involved and why that's important. So unfortunately, we only have about 25 minutes, but we're going to squeeze in as much as we can. And Anthony, what can you tell us first about the brief beginnings, when the seedlings started to sprout there at the Collective?
Well, I can't take credit for this place being in existence, but I have been involved for almost 20 years now. We were established in 1977, and I was 2 years old at that point, so I can't take credit. But my understanding is, and the legend goes, that it was established by a group of New York musicians, most of them drummers, but not all of them. And they just had this idea of getting together all in one room and sort of trading ideas and sharing with each other and helping each other grow as people and musicians. And that was, my understanding of how it all sort of came together. And at that time, it was started as the Drummers Collective, and even at that point, I'm told that people refer to it as the Collective. Hey, you going to the Collective? Yeah, I'm going to the Collective. You going? Over time, to skip and fast forward about 20, 30 years. Now we call it the Collective officially, even though we have the Drummers Collective Division, the Bass Collective Division, and the Keyboard Collective, the Guitar Collective, and now after 3 semesters running it, we have the Vocal Collective that is our most newly added division. But yeah, that was back in '77, and it slowly grew into a real school. I mean, back then it was just sort of a place to come and hang and jam and talk and share, really.
Right. And I know that over the years there's been some stellar artists involved, and still are currently artists in residence that from time to time dip in, do a master class or a few private lessons when they're available in between tours and traveling away to record albums. People like Dave Weckl, Steve Smith, Daniel Glass, the list goes on. Along with that, talk a little bit about your core faculty and how you've attracted who you have, and what a few words would maybe express the personality of that core faculty that you have. Like, what's a few words, if I say, give me 3 words that would describe this great group of people that are teaching all these young people music, and even, middle-aged people that sign up as well as they should, how would you describe them?
3 words, that's a tough one, but I'd say one of those 3 words would have to be professional. I'd say, dedicated is another word that will help describe them. And, focused. we have an amazing faculty from Kim Plainfield, who's been teaching here for over 30 years, one of our longest standing faculty members. And, someone who is extremely popular nowadays is Peter Retzlaff. We also have Jason Gianni. One of my first classes was with Sandy Gennaro, an amazing player, a great rock drummer. There's so many great faculty members here, and of course you brought up artists in residence. We're lucky to have so many amazing artists based in New York who would like to give back and share their ideas, just like those musicians back almost 36 years ago wanted to do. These artists, when they're not on tour, they're home in New York City, or they're home in New Jersey, very close to New York, or in the surrounding cities and states. And so we like to get them involved whenever they're around and they have the opportunity and the time to do so. We get them in the door, and some of them will come in and just hang out with the students in the lobby. They'll hang out in the lobby, they'll share some ideas, and really that's the original vibe from way back when it was first started, and I love that. And I get so many amazing comments from people when they walk through the door. They just see all these drummers playing on pads, and one famous story for me is when Jim Chapin, we lost him a few years ago, but he was here. I'd say when I started getting very involved at the school as a staff member, he would come in every month or two, because as anyone who has met him knows, that's all he does. He carries that pad around with him with the sticks, and he walks in and he wants to show every young drummer what he knows and help them along their path, because that's what he lived for. And it is one of my fondest memories to deal with him on a monthly basis. I mean, going from walking him inside, grabbing him downstairs, bringing him up in the elevator, having him walk through the door, see everybody on their pads. Honestly, he would just go sit right down, put his pad on the stand, and start working on stuff. And then slowly, students would just be coming over, greeting him, and there would end up being probably 30, 40 lessons happening in the lobby with Jim on a regular basis. And the only thing I could always tell him, as much as I loved watching him do that, would be like, hey, Jim, it's time for your next lesson. You got to get out of the lobby and into the room so you can teach this guy who just paid a bunch of money to study with you. At the end of the day, it seemed like he loved just sitting in the lobby and hanging with people. But unfortunately, you can't make a lot of money that way, as much as everybody loves it,
Right. You know what's really cool is that I have had this view of what I'm going to say for a long time, and I have had guests reiterate this on this show and just in personal conversation with myself, is the fact that the drummers community seems to be very different from any other musical community. It's so supportive. Drummers want to learn with each other. They want to share each other's knowledge, whether it's on playing styles, whether it's on sticking, whether it's something technical. We are gearheads by nature, and everyone just, they like to hang out and just geek out on each other's stuff. Like you were saying in the old days, and then that's what was going on when Jim would come by and visit. And that's, I think, what makes drummers so unique from one of the things from, any other group of musicians. What is it that makes the collective different as a musical institution? What would you say are some of the elements, Anthony, that differentiate you from other establishments that are, pushing music education and everything?
Well, that's a great question. I feel like we have a few really unique things that we do that you can't usually get. And I don't know what every school out there is doing, but I know that what I've heard in the past is one thing that holds us apart from the others is the fact that we have very small classes. And by that, what I mean by that is our students when you're in a class with our faculty, you're with a group of students who are all at the same level as you, and we limit those classes to 5 students. So when you're in a university, and of course, there are a few classes that we have school-wide. Everyone's there. We teach a class here on how to practice, only to help students to make sure that when they're in their practice room and they have their 2 or 3 hours of practice time on that day, that they make sure that they get the most out of that time. So, things like that, we do hold very large classes, but those are few and far between from all the classes you get throughout a semester in a program here. And like I said, most of those are with 5 students and no more than that. That's one thing. Another thing is that we're based in New York City, the greatest city in the world for music. And, you can walk out the door and go see an amazing Broadway show with amazing musicians. You can go see, some great bands playing at some amazing clubs that have a history of, legendary history.
And you never know who's going to walk in the door and sit in with one of those bands either. That's what else is cool.
That's true. That's true. But the other thing that differentiates us from the other institutions around, let's see, it's the small classes. The biggest thing, I guess, would be the fact that our faculty are all professional musicians, and they are not musicians who were professional who are now teachers. They are currently professional musicians who are out there, and being in New York City allows them to still keep a professional musician-like schedule, but by day they're teaching, and by night they're playing, or playing gigs, or and a lot of them take tours, and that's something we got to deal with as a school. But if that's what we got to deal with in order to have the top tier professional musicians as teachers that we have, then so be it. And with all of our programs, you go through many different styles. So from a drummer's standpoint, he'll take a certificate program. It'll be a 2-semester program. Our semesters are 10 weeks long, so that's a 20-week program, and you go through about 18 different styles. And I bring that up because it allows me to reference one of the other things that sort of sets us apart from the rest, and that is that, because we're in New York City, we have access to great musicians. Now, they may not all be faculty members, but when we have, let's say when you're going through a style, we go through the history of that style, and then you go through the groove mechanics of that style, and you end up, at the end of that sequence, you end up in a rhythm section playing that style with musicians who play that style professionally for a living. So it is my understanding that most schools, you're playing with other students in class. And I'm not saying there's nothing to be gained from that, because we are constantly trying to get our drummers in the rooms with our bass players and so on and so forth, getting them, trying to create opportunities for them to jam as often as possible. So that's important. It's important to play with your peers, but it's also a great tool to be able to be in this school and learn from professionals, and then just kind of be dropped into a band that play. Let's say for the sake of conversation, you go through the Brazilian sequence, and then you actually sit behind the drums in a room with these Brazilian musicians who have been playing that music for their whole life. And so, and then, the faculty member who is running the class, usually the drummer for the drum classes, that is, that doesn't mean that they're all going to just be silent and play along with you. They're all going to come up, when you're finished with the song, they're all going to give you their take on it. And, there's a lot to be learned for us drummers from the bass players, the guitar players, the keyboard players that we play with. There is a lot to be learned from them. I mean, it's not a secret that you can be a better drummer by learning how to play the bass or learning the relationship between the bass and the drums and so on and so forth.
Right.
So anyways, it just allows our students a real unique opportunity to play with these professionals and really get their take on it. Because honestly, when you leave this school and you go on to pursue your professional career, you're going to be in those situations. And how much how better is it? What can you do better to prepare for those than to be faced with that situation when you're not in front of an audience and you can really hone your craft with them. And then once you get out there, it's like second nature. You're not even thinking about it because you've already been in that situation 18 times with a style that may not be something that you're very familiar with. So it really prepares them to be well-rounded musicians and pursue their professional career, even in a crazy music industry like we have today.
Right, right. Well, let's show a bit of what the culmination of all that is. Being that this is recorded in the middle of June 2013, recently there was an end of semester and there was like a recital where they had a lot of students participate and do exactly what Anthony is talking about doing. So we're going to take a moment, drop in a video. This is a montage of some of the students that performed in exactly the environment that Anthony just described. Check out the talent in this room with all these students and all these different styles of music and everything they're applying to these styles of music, what they're playing, the finesse, the veracity, just the wide arc of the spectrum of these different styles, sometimes separately, sometimes blended together. This is really impressive. Check this out. This is at the Collective.
Excuse me while it gets the sky.
So hopefully from that montage, Anthony, everybody gets an idea of what can be accomplished by attending the Collective. And of course, at the end of the episode, we're going to put all your information up there. People will know how they can not only log on and make calls and find out more about the curriculums and what it takes to get in on this great education, but they can also find out how to support the Collective, because since 1977, the Collective has basically been at the same location. There's been some growing pains. You folks have gone through a relocation. And, like a lot of businesses, and don't worry, the Collective's going to be around, folks. But like a lot of businesses, there are financial strains, and there's a couple different things going on. There's a campaign that just started running that I'd like to bring up and help promote and give you an opportunity to talk about briefly. What can you tell people about what was the impetus of this campaign going into effect, and briefly how can people help? And again, we'll put all the information on Facebook and in this interview and everything for you.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And yeah, it has been a challenging 3 years, I have to say. I came on as director in the beginning of 2011, and that was after about 6 months of renovating a new space that we were going to call home. The collective moved about, believe it or not, only like 4 or 5 blocks away to a location that was presented to us in a way that made us feel very comfortable moving in there and starting our business there. It was double the space of where we currently are, and where, basically that's the same place that we were prior to that. And a lot of the information is on that campaign, so I urge everyone to watch the 6-minute video and read through it and to better understand the full story. But honestly, we took a step forward, wanting to sort of improve on our facility and create more room for the vocal programs and all the new stuff that we had sort of on its way to offer it to our students. And we fell into a lot of trouble because the place was presented as conveniently soundproofed and perfect for a music school, and we went in and spent a lot of money and did added more soundproofing and did a lot of construction, only to find out that it was not conveniently soundproofed, and even the soundproofing that we added and spent a lot of money to put in there was not good enough. And so we ended up chasing our tails for about 1.5 years trying to fix it so we could stay put in that location. Long story short, which you can get the full version of the story in the video on the campaign, but long story short, we had to agree to move out. And actually, before we moved out, we had to demo everything that we built. So it was not only was it a financial strain and a challenge just to make all that happen, but it was sad. It was like we were building this dream, and then we were watching it sort of fall apart. So the good news is that we didn't miss a beat, no pun intended. But we landed on our feet back at our old location. We were at this location for 27 years. We went to the new location for about 2 years, and when we were faced to having to move out of that place, we went back and negotiated a new lease with the landlords that we had prior, and we moved back in. Luckily, they had kept the place in a similar state from how we left it, and they hadn't found a tenant yet, so it kind of worked out for all of us, and we just moved back in. And I have to tell you, that sort of big thing had to happen for me to come back here and realize, man, I really love this place, and I love the vibe at this location, and I don't know why we ever even wanted to leave. Of course, you're always thinking, let's make it bigger and better, and sometimes bigger and better isn't always better, if that makes any sense. I mean, bigger isn't always better, I should say. And so we're making, we're fitting everything into this location because the vibe is there. And man, I wish these walls could talk, because there's plenty of great legendary stories that come out of this place. And we're at 541 6th Avenue. We didn't close. Luckily, this all happened at a time where we would normally be closed anyways. It was during the holidays. Needless to say, I didn't really get to celebrate the holidays that year, but that's fine because my school is, in order, and we're here at the other place. We got in here. We got everything done in time for our winter semester to start on January 7th. It was a crazy couple months, but we got through it. But, within all of these challenges that we faced over the last 3 years, due to our sound leaking to other tenants in the building at the other location, that brought some very extraordinary expenses that we are just not used to having. The school has been around, like you said, since '77. Never in all those years have we ever had to hire an attorney and, hire construction crews and demo crews. And I mean, so I got a really great education over the last 3 years. Good thing this is a school, but honestly, Go ahead.
Welcome to the world of business, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I definitely got a major business education, and so we made it through. And I'm very happy to say that we're all of our students are in this new slash old location and loving it. And but we are struggling to take care of the debt that we basically built up over the last 3 years. Most of that is legal fees. It costs a lot to defend yourself in court when you feel you've done the right thing and you've done everything by the book, and someone who's fighting you is claiming that they have done everything right when you know that they did you wrong, so to speak. You want to defend yourself, and you want to end up on your feet, and we ended up on our feet only because we worked very hard, and we got back to a location that allowed us to do what we do. If we stayed there, we would have not been able to hold our classes there, and so what sense did that make? Honestly, for 6 to 8 months, our students were faced with having to go to another location, which we outsourced a lot of our classes because the judge, while we were going through the court case, we got orders from the judge to not use our space for anything that creates any sort of sound prior to 5 p.m. And how on earth can a music school, hold their classes in a place that they can't generate sound? So,
Right.
I hate to keep using the word challenging, but man, I can't think of a better word to describe it. So we're doing business now. We're back to this location, doing business as usual, but just struggling to pay off the debt. And although I'm not worried that we're going to close down anytime soon, we're just looking for some. We know that there's a lot of people out there who love this place and who hold a small place in their heart for this school because of all the years that we've been in business and all the great students who've come in and out of here and faculty. So, we're just sort of reaching out. We wanted our story to be told so people could know what we went through. And, we're just looking for a little bit of help. If you can't contribute, maybe you can help us by sharing it with your friends and family. I am sure that there are plenty of people out there that love this place, want to, lend a helping hand, and that's what this world is all about. And I know I've contributed to many Kickstarter campaigns and many different crowdfunding campaigns that are based on things that I believe in. So honestly, if you believe in our school and music education and what we bring to the music industry and New York City, I'm hoping that you all will check out our campaign and hopefully, find a way to help us in some way, and we would really appreciate it.
Right, and that's the key is one of the reasons that I wanted to do this story, and I want to insert a thank you very much and a shout out to Joe Franco, who encouraged me to get with you. He's the one that told me about the situation, and I really appreciate that, Joe, because this definitely needed to be done. But what I was going to say is that even if people aren't aware of the collective, even if they don't live in New York City and they're not familiar with a lot of the stuff we've talked about, if you care about music education and you want to do something to help contribute, that's all enough reason right there. We've had the link on the screen for a while. It's kind of a long link, so that's why we left it up for a while. Please go to that link. There's another video of Anthony presenting exactly what the need is and what it will fulfill and what the goal that they're trying to get to. Go to that site for Fund Anything and this cause. Support music education in any way that you can, and right now this would be a really good one. Anthony, we will absolutely have you on again now that you're part of the Drum Talk TV family. We'll keep in touch, and we'll touch base on the progress and special projects that are going on there at the collective. When I come to New York City, I'll definitely call you ahead of time. We'll get together in person. That would be great. I'll definitely be putting my ear to the walls to soak up some of the stories told by the vibrations that have been pounded out there in conversation and in music. And thanks so much for coming on and sharing not just your story with us, but sharing with us just another wonderful, wonderful resource in the world where people can go and get a great music education, especially in the area of drumming and where the rhythm section is concerned. That's really special. So thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. It's been a pleasure. And I want to also thank Joe Franco for introducing me to Dan and this great channel he's got. And, you know, keep doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, so much for watching. As you know, what Drum Talk TV is all about is that not all lessons happen behind a practice pad or at a drum kit. They happen by listening with an open mind to discussions like these about music, about drumming, and learning from other people's experiences and understanding their unique perspectives that they've developed from those unique experiences. So thank you very much for joining us here on Drum Talk TV. I am Dan Schinder with Anthony Citrinite. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.